Under oath from previous testimony.
Yes, sir, Judge.
This one, what it says in previous, this one to testify truthfully. Mr. State.
Thank you, Major Espinosa, you just heard from your brother.
Yes, sir.
How many Espinosas are there?
There's two older and two younger, and I'm the middle one.
You're the middle,
Five total. Yes, sir.
the middle child.
Yes, sir.
Well, it looks to me that we're going to be chatting with you a little bit over the next day and possibly tomorrow. Would you do us a favor, introduce yourself to the jury with your first and last name, and then give us a short summary of your law enforcement training up to the day?
Good morning, everybody. Joe Espinosa, J-O-B, just like in the good book. I've been in law enforcement for going on 19 years. Started in 2007 with the Grand Police Department. Then worked with the Pelham County Sheriff's Office as a patrol deputy, and then worked on a narcotics and major crimes task force until 2015. Then I was hired by Texas DPS as a state trooper, and I was stationed in Mission, Texas, on the Texas-Mexico border, primarily assigned to Operation Secure Texas for 2 years. I was able to transfer and get back home and spent the next 2 years in Mineral Wells as a state trooper there. And then in January of 2020, I promoted to the Texas Rangers in Company C, the Panhandle.
Okay, I love Mr. Mo to death, but there is something about a Texas drawl. I'm gonna send him to Texas for a while. He'll bring us back a cow or steaks. I mean, either way.
Stationed in Childress with the headquarters in Amarillo. In 2022, I transferred to Wise County, where I stayed until 2024. And I then transferred to Parker, Palo Pinto County, still under Company B. And now here we are.
So from DPS Academy to Ranger in 5 years.
Right before, yes, sir.
And when did you say you got promoted and made Ranger?
January 20.
COVID Ranger.
Yes, sir.
Now, talk a little bit about some of the other cases you worked. You said you worked major crimes, things of that nature. Have you ever worked any homicide cases prior to the time you made Ranger?
Yes, sir, I had.
And then since you made Ranger in January 2020, have you suddenly worked homicide cases?
Yes, I've been involved in major crimes, unfortunately, all over the state of Texas, even in my tenure as a patrol officer to a state trooper. And then obviously that our primary function as Texas Rangers is to investigate major crimes, which would be homicides, ag assaults, robberies, bank robberies, kidnappings, sexual assaults.
And I've often referred to the Texas Rangers, and I've heard them referred as an assisting agency. Is that an accurate description?
Yes, sir, it is. We're here at Office to serve the great state of Texas and support our local agencies in any form or fashion. We just come in and we are an extension of that office, working for that community or whatever community we get tasked to go to.
And for what we're here for today with regard to Athena Strand, was that your capacity at that point, is to come in as an assisting agency with the Wise County Sheriff's Office and the FBI and other agencies?
Absolutely. Just there to provide all the resources we could on a missing child.
And let me just get an idea. You mentioned the word resources. Are there things that that your company and the Texas Rangers can bring that the sheriff's offices in rural America may not be able to bring to bear?
Yes, sir. Yeah. Sometimes it's just a matter of funding for investigations, expertise in crime scene, maybe facilitating a trip to another location, out of state, contacting. The famous saying is, if you know one ranger, you know all the rangers, which means we're connected all throughout 254 counties in the great state.
And this is something that's very unique to Texas, at least in the cases that I've seen, because of like the Uvalde and several other Texas cases. And I know that other states have their answer to, kind of the Texas Rangers, but it is interesting how they have it segmented and, all of the resources that the Texas Rangers do have available to assist.
In Texas, and we also have contacts all over the nation, so we can tap into those resources and contacts for those local agencies we're supporting at the time.
Okay, we're in Texas, you got to slow down.
Yes, sir. Did she give me the look and I missed it?
You got to keep full forward happy.
Also, as a ranger, it sounds like what you're talking about is stuff involving criminal investigations. Do y'all assist in other types of occurrences, for example, major disasters, missing persons, rescue operations, potentially SWAT operations, things like that. Do y'all also help out with that as well?
Yes, sir, we do. So we have special operations group. We also have which is our SRT, special operations group that does most of the felony warrants for local agencies. Like I said before, search and rescue stuff we can tap into, aircraft, and we have dive teams at our disposal. We have a lot of different resources that can supplement our communities.
And that's something that would you say that most rural sheriff's offices, they don't have helicopters and dive teams and things of that nature?
Not too many around this part of the world, no, sir.
And that's where you guys do.
Yes, sir.
And in this particular case that we're talking about today, what was your role overall in the investigation into the abduction and murder of the
Initially, it was just that missing 7-year-old little girl. Hey, let me get out there. Let me provide resources. Let me see if I can't call our partners in Fort Worth first for a helicopter. Let me see if I can get some troopers on scene. Let's find her. It's cold. It's late. That was just the initial response that I had.
And then at some point, I'm just trying to make sure, are you the lead ranger in the entirety of this investigation?
Yes, sir, I am.
And so in that capacity, would you say that most things that are going on with this investigation are coming through you in some capacity?
Yes, sir. Yes. Basically, the way that works is when we come in and we're working with that agency, especially when it's something to this gravity or a big scene, we form a command post. And then when I tap into those resources, I delegate out essentially tasks. If I call in a resource, you're going to be given a task or a job or a duty.
Okay, but is that in addition to the command post set up by the FBI? Who outranks who? It is Texas, so I feel like the Texas Rangers would outrank the FBI in their own minds.
And then nothing gets done without getting phoned back to the command post. So there's nothing that went on in this investigation that I didn't have a good idea of what was happening or directed that to happen.
So we just heard from little brother, and he indicated that.
Objection, Your Honor. He is informing a witness what another witness had testified to.
Just with regard to your little brother, you mentioned that you give people tasks and things. Now, did you give your little brother a task in this particular case?
Yes, sir.
Okay, what was that task?
On that particular day, my brother happened to be one of the closest marked units to the area where the FedEx van was located and the driver, and I needed the driver detained. So I directed him to that location to detain the driver.
So when you're talking about these tasks you're handing out, is that an example of one of those tasks?
Yes, sir, it is.
Now, let's talk. I'm going to take you to November 30th, 2022. It's been a couple of years.
Yes, sir.
Do you remember when you first got notified that there was a child missing in Wise County? Do you remember when that was?
Yes, sir, I do.
Tell us about it.
I just actually got home from a training. It was pretty late at night, and I have, as the ranger for any area, I get notifications on my phone, state phone, which essentially says exigent things going on in the county. The notification on my phone was that there was a missing 7-year-old child. I contacted Wise County Dispatch and said, hey, what's going on with this? It's like, oh, they're saying this little girl wandered off from home and she's missing. So I then contacted the on-call investigator. I said, hey, what can I do to help? And he said, that she's wandered off before, maybe we can find her quick. I said, well, it's really, really cold tonight. I'm a father, and this is my county. Let's find her quick. I don't want her to be cold. I don't want her to be lost. I'm going to come out, and I'm going to provide resources.
And we've talked a little bit about resources that you might have available. So in this particular case, at that particular time, when you first get that call, what resources do you call in at that point to assist in locating little Linda?
So I was advised by the sheriff's office. They had reached out to local fire departments. I tried to contact our helicopter at the time. They were unavailable, so we contacted Fort Worth PD's helicopter. And then I got every trooper that was working in the area to respond, just add more bodies to help look for her. And then contacted and put other rangers on standby just in case it was a prolonged incident, and went to the next day.
Did it end up going to the next day?
Yes, sir.
So I'm going to split this up a little bit so we can stay focused on what happens on each day. Okay, so I'm going to stay on November 30th, 2022. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So on that day, she went missing. You told us that your role at that point, you were getting additional resources.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And to include helicopter and manpower. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Now, let me just ask you, did you yourself go to the scene where Athena went missing?
Yes, sir, I did.
And once you get there, What do you, I guess, inside, what are you kind of hoping is going to happen when you get on scene?
My initial thought to the response would be that we would quickly locate Athena with the resources provided, and then we would hopefully all go home and get warm.
But when that didn't happen, and do you have any training experience being a ranger in missing persons?
Yes, I do.
And let me just ask you, based on that training and experience, if a child is not located quickly, who are the most likely suspects in that?
It's usually family.
And is that what your thought in this case when Athena was not found quickly?
Yes, sir.
Now, this location, do you remember the address?
Yes, sir. The exact physical address was in Cottondale. I have to reflect to my report to give you the actual numbers.
If I told you it was on County Road 3573, would you agree with that?
Yes, sir. 268 County Road 3573.
And so you're there, you're on scene. Do you remember what time you got physically on scene?
I don't recall. It wasn't too long after she went missing.
Okay. And so I'm going to stay on that day there. You're getting resources. When it comes to parents and interviews, what are you doing in that aspect?
So my immediate thought is let's go ahead and lock everybody in on a statement and try to corroborate that statement with digital evidence, which would be cell phones, text messages. And my goal is to lock everybody in that night, especially the people that were in close proximity to Athena on that time. So that's what I started doing on scene.
And who all did you interview out of the family?
I interviewed Ashley Strand. I interviewed Maitland Gandy. I interviewed Jacob Strand. I interviewed Mark Strand. I interviewed Zach Strand. Just interviewed all the immediate people. Zach Strand's wife, I can't recall her name off the top of my head. A lot of folks.
And are you doing that then on scene when you arrive?
Yes, sir.
And so you interview all of those people. And let me just ask you, was there ever any evidence that a family member was somehow a part of Athena going missing?
No, sir.
Was there any other evidence that anybody else other than Tanner Horner was involved in her going missing?
No, sir.
And let me just get you to that point here. How did you go about making that particular conclusion?
During the course of my interviews, specifically with Ashley Strand, one of the things that really stuck out to me as an investigator is that I had essentially locked everybody in. Corroborated was that. The only thing that kind of stood out to her too was that a package was delivered right around the time.
Objection, Your Honor, that's hearsay.
That a package was delivered around the time Athena went missing. So that's somebody that could have potentially seen something.
And that's the kind of thing that I was talking about the defense doing. It's aggravating because, again, technically, is it hearsay? Yes. But your client has already pled. There is no mitigating factor to be made by objecting to the stepmother losing her bonus daughter, telling the lead investigator that there was a package delivered.
And witnessed something with Athena. So that immediately went into my notes as something that we needed to look at.
And as far as that lead with regard to the package that was delivered, did you begin working that on that first day, that November 30th, or at some time after that?
Yes, sir. At that point, we're going on to the next morning. Sun hasn't come up yet, but we need to start moving more resources. In my gut, I just knew we needed to shift this a different direction, which is that somebody had taken Athena. So I reached out to more resources.
And when you say more resources, you said it's early in the morning. Would that be the next day, December 1st?
Yes, sir.
And at this point, have you been working steadily since you arrived on scene all the way until the sun rises the next morning?
Yes, sir.
What is going on with the search from the time that those resources arrive all the way until the sun rises that next morning, December 1st?
We're still looking. Nothing's really changed other than I'm bringing in more resources.
Is the helicopter still in the air?
Yes, sir.
Are the search people still doing search things?
Yes, sir.
So we talked about this package, okay? And who are you working with on running down that lead on that package? Who are you working with?
So the next morning, just to elaborate on that, I called United States Marshal Service, DPS CID, the FBI CAS team, I got additional troopers, I got additional rangers, and I also brought our special operations group rangers to respond to the scene. And as I delegated the tasks, I was informed that there was FBI agents in Fort Worth that could be tasked with identifying who delivered the package to the residents. And my main objective was like, who delivered it? What did they see?
And that's what I was going to ask you next is, what kinds of information were you looking for from those assets that you brought in?
So again, like I said before, everybody was tasked, different tasks. The United States Marshal Service and DPSCID were tasked with a canvas, which would be essentially canvassing all the houses, registered sex offenders, anybody in the area. Troopers were tasked with the same thing. Texas Parks and Wildlife was tasked with water resources and canine resources. And the FBI was tasked with the digital evidence, and then that evidence on that package, or just essentially identifying where it came from, who delivered it, and what they saw.
And is that the kind of questions you were asking with regard to this particular package, this box?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Who delivered it? When they delivered it, things of that nature?
Yes, sir.
And just, well, why is that important?
More than anything, to me, initially, it was just, it's another set of eyes, right? What did you see? Well, what was there? Is there something that we need to be looking for that we missed? I didn't even know that from everybody in the area. That's the same thing with the canvases and everything. Is there something I'm missing here? Is there something we're missing? Did somebody see Athena? That's the main thing we're looking for.
So you and the FBI and these other resources are working on this. And were you able to identify through those resources who the company was that had delivered the box to the Strand?
Yes, sir.
Were you also able to identify the person operating the vehicle that delivered the package to the Strand?
Yes, sir.
And again, are those all things that you were going to be relying on at a later date when you continue this investigation?
Yes, sir.
So can you tell us who the parties were that were involved in the delivery of this box to the Strand?
So we initially found out that FedEx had delivered the package, but there was a company called Big Top Spin that essentially contracted for FedEx and hired delivery drivers. And then so that kind of spun into getting hold of Big Top Spin to see who actually was the driver that delivered that particular package.
And who was that driver?
Tanner Horner.
Is that the same Tanner Horner sitting in the courtroom to my right at the end of the table?
Yes, sir. It is.
Now, let me ask you, as part of your investigation, do you know who was the first person to contact, either in person or by phone, Tanner Horner as part of your investigation?
Yes, sir.
And who was that?
Patrick McGuire.
And was he the one working on it from the FBI side?
Yes, sir.
We stop right here. I'm going to ask you, so far, we are now midway through day 2.
Yes, sir.
You said the search is still ongoing.
Yes, sir.
So right now, midway through day 2, what has your investigation revealed at this point with regard to Tanner Horner in this case?
That he was the delivery driver that delivered.
Objection, Your Honor, that is all based on hearsay.
Sustained.
Again, defense. I get it, technically right, but Bonnie Ray, your client says guilty as a. Your client is guilty. He pled guilty, and he decided to crime in Texas. So, I mean, I'm not saying that they're, polishing old Sparky to get ready for him, but I believe there was a Ron White joke, I'm from Texas and we believe in the death penalty. We believe in it so much that we've made an express lane, I believe was the paraphrase of it.
What do you know about the package that was delivered to the Strand home?
Objection, Your Honor, that's also based on hearsay.
That's sustained.
So what information are you acting on as part of this investigation to make determinations about the package being delivered to the Strand home?
Objection, Your Honor, that's also based on hearsay.
I'll let him answer that. Go ahead.
That essentially a driver from Big Top Spin delivered the package as a contract through FedEx.
So when you got that information, what did you think? What were your thoughts about when you got that information about the package?
We've now located who we believed was the delivery driver for that package. So the next course of action was, let's call him up, see what he knows, see what he saw, see what he says.
Now, at that point, you're not part of that. That's the FBI.
Correct.
So what was going on And not necessarily getting into who told you what, but what was going on in the investigation? You said you contacted this company, Big Topspin,
Yes, sir.
and they're the contractor.
Yes, sir.
Anybody else you're contacting at this time with regard to information from the vehicle?
Yes, sir. At that time, as we moved forward in the investigation, there were some key things that stuck out to me. Particularly, there was the driver, Tanner Horner, had made very detailed statements about a green van. So obviously, we have to act on any information we get. We put out a be on the lookout or a statewide bolo for that green van. We also, at this time, we had transitioned to DPS aircraft. I had been flying nonstop. They were tasked with also look at any green vans in the area, and then we also wanted what we call the stop delivery report for Mr. Horner. And then we were also doing tower dumps in the area to figure out what cellular devices were in the area at the time.
And at some point, did you come to find that there was camera footage possible from the vehicle?
Yes, sir. The first reason I asked for the camera footage is because of the green van. He stated a very detailed description of the green van. I'm like, hey, do they have video? Maybe we can see a license plate on the video of the FedEx van. And then I was advised that FedEx contracted with a company.
Objection, Your Honor, that's hearsay.
That's what other people told.
Yes, sir.
What was the name of the company that runs the camera system in the FedEx?
Velociter,
And do you know where Velociter is located?
North Carolina.
And who is your contact at Velociter?
My contact at Velociter, I have to look back on the notes to specifically.
Your Honor, may we approach?
One more.
All right, who's your contact at Velociter?
Jim Becker.
And again, what is their role in this particular investigation?
They essentially provide the camera software for all FedEx trucks.
And during this investigation, I've asked you before about certain things you're relying on in the investigation. Was Velociter able to provide you anything that you were able to rely on in conducting your investigation?
Yes, sir. Jim Becker, with the assistance of the FBI, was able to provide us a video from the FedEx truck.
And let me just ask you, how much video were you able to acquire at that time?
At that time, it was just 2 short clips.
You remember when you got those?
Yes, sir. As the investigation had shifted and we were in the process of detaining Mr. Horn, we received those simultaneously.
So, and that happened on December 2nd.
Correct, yes, sir.
So still back on December 1st, you've indicated at this point in time, you've got the FBI working on some things, you're working on some things, trying to get video clips. Is that what we're doing so far?
Yes, sir.
And you said we have identified Tanner Horner as the driver at that time.
Yes, sir.
So as the sun sets on December 1st, what's the status of the search at that time?
It's continued. We still have every resource available going. Everybody's still looking, and we still have aircraft looking as well.
At any point up until the time we're talking about the end of the day, December 1st, has that search ever been discontinued?
No, sir.
Helicopter still going?
Yes, sir.
Search team still in the air?
Yes, sir.
We'll move you to day 3. Okay. December 2nd. As the sun rises on day 3, December 2nd, 2022, where were you in the investigation into Tanner Horner?
We figured out and locked in the majority of the people we needed to speak to, which were bus drivers, school teachers, neighbors, canvassed everything we could. And there was things that really stuck out about Mr. Horner's statement. So we continued to work on obtaining video, and we continued to obtain more information on his stop delivery report that day and what his route was. And we also had the FBI CAS team working on the digital evidence for the FedEx truck in particular as well.
Now, something like, was he detained as part of this investigation?
Yes, sir.
And what did you rely on to detain him and question him in this investigation?
One thing we figured out through the CAS team and the digital evidence, it showed.
Objection, Your Honor, that's hearsay.
Sustained.
What information did you act on in making the decision to detain Tanner Horner?
It was a combination.
Your Honor, that's also hearsay.
That's sustained also.
What time was Tanner Horner detained?
Approximately 3 p.m.
Were you involved in making the decision to detain him?
Yes, sir.
And so were you present when he was, at least sometime when he was detained?
Arrived shortly after he was detained.
Let me ask you, do you remember what time you first meet Tanner Horner?
A little after 3 p.m. on December 2nd.
We've already said you see him here in the courtroom. Does he look the same as he did when you first saw him back in November 2022?
No, sir. He's significantly skinnier, lost a lot of weight.
You mean he didn't pull a Donna Adelson and like eat all the quabs and, you know, get all the fat? I mean, interesting. I mean, I guess if you realize that you're looking at a lifetime in Gen Pop, you might want to do some cardio.
Once you had him detained, what did you do?
I talked to him.
Okay. You said you had gotten video clips.
Yes, sir.
What'd you see?
I saw that Athena was still alive and that she was placed in that FedEx van by Mr. Warner. And based on what I was seeing, it was exigent. And I felt there's a possibility that Athena was still alive and we needed to bring her home.
According to what you witnessed, when did he take her and put her in the back of the truck?
On November 30th.
Now, let's talk about these two trucks and clear something up here. The truck that he was detained in on December 2nd, was that the same truck that he put her in on November 30th?
No, sir, it was not.
And were we able to acquire and locate the original truck that he was in on November 30th?
Yes, sir. As part of my investigation, we secured the original truck he was driving that day and had it secured at the Wise County Sheriff's Office.
The truck that he was driving that day, are you aware, and I'm just going to do this by license, but are you aware of the license plate on the truck that he was in on November 30th?
Yes, sir. I have it documented as Nora Robert 4995, or that's NNR 4995.
And that's the truck that he was in on November 30th.
Yes, sir. That's the van that we identified that he was driving on the day that Athena was abducted.
So to keep this straight, now we have two vehicles at play here.
Yes, sir.
Correct?
Yes, sir.
And we have the vehicle that she was abducted in on November 30th. And then we have the vehicle that he was detained in on December 2nd.
Correct. Yes, sir.
And I know you didn't conduct any of the CSI work on any of those vehicles, did you?
No, sir.
But did you make provisions to ensure that both of those vehicles were taken and placed in such a position that they could be forensically looked at and have CSI look at them at a later date?
Yes, sir. I made sure they were secured for processing.
And the other vehicle, the one that Athena was taken in, where was that at the time?
We had been in contact with Big Top Spin, who told us that it was being operated by another driver at the time. So we instructed them that it was important that we get a hold of that vehicle and that it be brought to the Wise County Sheriff's Office.
And was that done with that time?
Yes, sir, it was.
Now, so now we have him being detained. You're making revolutions to get both vehicles to the sheriff's office, correct?
Yes, sir.
You did say that you talked to him. We're going to get to that in a second. What else is going on in your investigation at the time that he is detained?
Again, at the time, based on the video that I saw, I believed Athena was alive. And under exigent circumstances in public safety, I had our special operations group, SWAT team, essentially, make entry into the Horner residence under exigency simultaneously as Mr. Horner was being detained, and pretty much let me know if she's in there or not. Same thing with the detention of him, is let me know if she's in the truck.
You used a term there, exigent circumstances. In law enforcement terms, what does that mean?
Exigent circumstances is anything for public safety. It can be even in reference to a weapon, a bomb, or in this case, a kidnapping. If it means preservation of life, it allows us to go in there and make sure that somebody isn't in danger, and that if we can effectively save them, that's what we're going to do.
And so does that allow you to detain people in furtherance of preservation of life?
Yes, sir.
Does it allow you to potentially enter a residence in the interest of preserving life?
Yes, sir.
And were both of those done in this case?
Yes, sir.
And with regard to entering a home during that time, whose home was entered and searched at that time?
It was Tanner Horner's family home, where his grandmother and family resided
Where is that located, if you remember?
in Fort Worth.
And so you said that happened at the same time that he was detained.
Yes, sir.
That seemed to be something that's important to you, that we do it at the same time. Why is that important?
Based on my training experience, especially with kidnapping cases, if you hit something, or by hit, I mean, if you make entry into something sooner, and somebody there can give a heads up if she's not there in that house, and then it puts that person in danger. So we have to do it simultaneously, so nobody's forewarned, and we can keep any phone calls from going out, because ultimately it's about preserving life.
So in this case, both the detention and the search of his home in Lake Worth, were those both done on that basis?
Yes, sir.
Now, with regard to the truck, was Athena located in the truck?
No, sir.
With regard to the Tanner Horner's home in Lake Worth, was Athena located there?
No, sir.
So at this point, if we press pause right here, we have Tanner Horner detained. We have not located Athena.
Yes, sir.
So at this point, what are you hoping for at this point if we stop right here?
Objection or irrelevance?
Overruled. I'm hoping to find Athena alive.
Now, you said as part of this, you arrive on scene and you talk to Tanner Horner.
Yes, sir.
Was all of this recorded?
Yes, sir.
How was it recorded?
At that time, based on the fact that I'd be conducting an interview or speaking to a possible defendant, I acquired Game Warden Espinosa's body camera. That way everything would be documented on audio and video.
You reviewed this body cam footage?
I have.
And let me make sure, because we're gonna have a few videos here. You have body cam footage on your brother's body cam you took on scene, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Now, it's my understanding we also have additional videos from the Wise County Jail and then outside the Wise County Jail as well. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And so let me make sure that I have these videos correct in my head here. We have video of the body cam, and that takes us from, and I just want generally here, from the scene, and when does that one end?
To the interview room at the sheriff's office.
Okay. And then the next video would begin
In the interview room.
in the interview room and go until when?
Then it picks up from the interview room into another body camera, Wise County Sheriff's Office body camera, to a field interview.
And then the next video would be from when to when?
The next video would be from the field back to the interview room.
Okay. And then at some point, did you have another interview on December 7th?
Yes, sir. Then there was another interview with Mr. Horner on December 7th.
Okay. So that's the videos that you're talking about.
Yes, sir.
And have you reviewed all of those in preparation for testifying in this case?
Yes, sir, I have.
Let's take you back. You've got Tanner Horner detained outside Paradise. What's the first question you asked?
Where's she at?
What's the second question you asked?
Is she alive?
Let's talk about Tanner Horner's answer to the first question. Where's she at? What does Tanner Horner tell you when you ask him where's she at?
I can show you.
When it comes to his second question, is she alive? What is his answer to you?
That she wasn't alive when he put her in the truck.
Was or wasn't?
Was not alive.
Now, for those of you who are new to the case, Tanner initially started out saying that this was all a horrible accident. He had been delivering the package. Yes, Athena, got in front of or behind him. He ran into her. She was injured. He panicked. He put her in the back of the truck. And initially he's going to tell the police that he ran her over to the point where she wasn't alive when he put her in the truck. Now, obviously, they have video, at least clips at that time, that they know that's not true.
Now, at that point in time, what do you know about the answer to that question, is she alive?
I knew that. I didn't know if she was alive or not.
You said you'd seen a clip on that day with her alive in the vehicle.
Yes, sir. I believe she was alive based on that clip.
But when the answer to the question is, she wasn't alive when I put her in the truck, what do you know about the answer that Tanner Horner gave you at that time?
I immediately knew that was a lie.
Because you'd seen it on the clip.
Yes, sir.
Now, in the first few moments, are you asking him any questions about what happened?
No, sir.
Wow.
That's not part of the public safety exception. The courts have ruled very clearly it's in furtherance of finding and preserving life, not questions on details of the case. At one point, he tries to say details and I stop him.
What did Tanner Horner volunteer to you without questioning had happened in that case? What happened in this case?
That she was deceased and that he had transported her to a location with a log bamboo.
Let me back up a little bit. What, if anything, did Tanner Horner tell you about what caused her to be deceased?
That he backed into her with this van.
Now, when he says to you that he backed into her with the van, what do you know about that statement as well?
I know that's not factual because based on the two clips that I saw, you can clearly see Mr. Horner putting Athena into the van.
But that's just not true.
No, sir.
So, got Mr. Horner detained, you're on scene, what do you do next?
We get in the vehicle along with Investigator Oliver and Ranger Briley, and we in turn have him direct us to the location where he put Athena, or stated he had placed Athena.
Let me ask you a couple of questions about that. Who's driving?
Investigator Oliver.
Okay. And where are you sitting and where is Mr. Horner sitting?
I'm sitting in the back with Mr. Horner.
Okay. And you said you end up at a location, you said there's some bamboo there?
Yes, sir.
Now, who is giving you the directions on how to get from where you are to where this bamboo is?
Mr. Horner.
And when he's giving you the directions, what level of detail is he able to provide you to guide you from your location where you are to the bamboo?
Descriptive turn-by-turn instructions on how to get there.
So is he able to tell you what roads to take?
Yes, sir.
Is he able to tell you what turns to make?
Yes, sir.
And he's able to tell you where he placed your body?
Yes, sir.
Now let's talk a little bit about this location. How long does it take you to get from where you detained him until you get to this location where he says he dropped the body?
I'd have to guess, but approximately 15 minutes.
Didn't take you an hour to drive there?
No, sir.
All right. Is he still in Wise County?
Yes, sir.
So this location, and I want you to describe it a little bit, if you will, for the jury, where Tanner Horner took you to this location. You drive up, what do you see?
We drive up, and on what appears to be the north side of the road is a heavily bambooed area, very, very thick with bamboo, and he indicates that that's where he placed Athena.
All right. When we say bamboo, are we talking like 10 feet tall, 3 feet tall? What are we talking about here?
It was 10 feet tall or more.
Okay. And so you arrive on this location. What has Tanner Horner told you about why this location is important to him? What has he told you?
He stated that somebody might be able to find her.
Okay. And so is he able to give you a description of how far in the bamboo, how close to the road? Is he able to describe the exact point at which he placed her body?
Yes, sir.
And what was that?
He stated at this time he's kind of giving us instruction as I'm walking him, and he's pointing out a location in the bamboo, and he's stating that it was not too much further in there. It just essentially giving me an idea of where she was at in the bamboo.
So once you're there, what does law enforcement do once you get there?
At that time, we'd also been in communication with K-9 additional resources because I wanted to search that entire area.
Did you do that?
Yes, sir.
And at any point in this, when you get to this location, what are your impressions of this location?
At that time, I felt like I was being lied to again, that she was not there.
And based on your observations of this location on this road, why is that?
Just the amount of resources we had, especially with canine resources and everything, it would, in my prior experience, especially if we're being directed to that area, we usually find, unfortunately, human remains or humans with the canine very quickly.
We are going to take a little bit of a break because I just might have found the most cool thing I've ever seen. Although I need to get back to it. No, it got lost. Why? I swear some days life is. But I figured we need a little bit of a not puppy kitten break, but a Tickle Me Elmo versus a particle collider, which I didn't know was an option we could have. But apparently, let's see how Tickle Me Elmo does against a particle collider. Seems like an odd thing to do with your life, but you know. Poor Elmo. That is terrifying. That Elmo is CERN Elmo. This is how we get Ted. This is how we get Ted. This is how we get Teddy Ruxpin. Well, I mean, he seems to be doing fine. Still terrifying. There isn't any sound. It's just like a background sound. Oh. Your timeline will never be the same. Oh, it killed Elmo. He's no longer laughing. The blue light killed Elmo. I mean, I'm not shocked. Now we can't hug him because we're gonna get radiated.
Are these settings?
I mean, I guess I kind of thought it was going to melt, but I mean, I guess we can't always have fun experiments, but I was trying to scroll and find fun clips for us to watch on breaks because bless this particular, first responder, this Texas Ranger, you can tell that this was incredibly difficult for him. So I figured we needed a couple fun breaks tonight.
Did that happen in this case?
No, sir.
How far off the road did Tanner Warner tell you he dumped her body?
I don't remember an approximate distance.
Okay. Did he tell you that she was way in there, close to the road? What was his statements to you as to distance from the road or anything like that?
His statements were she was in close proximity to the road, not too far in.
Why did he tell you that was important?
He stated that was so somebody could find her.
You didn't find her?
No, sir.
So when you're out there searching, are you personally out there searching?
Yes, sir.
And I think you mentioned just a second ago that you had Mr. Horner out of the vehicle and had him pinpointing things to you as well. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And is that when he's telling you where she was, where he put her, so on and so forth?
Yes, sir.
And again, is all of this still recorded on the body?
Yes, sir.
During this time where you've been taken to this location where all the bamboo is, how many times do you think you asked him if this is really where he dumped her?
Numerous.
And each time in this that you ask him that, what is his response to you?
That's the location.
And what level of confidence was he giving you when you're asking these questions?
High level of confidence.
And in fact, was he able to point at some point to where he had put her?
Yes, sir.
Still no Athena.
No, sir.
How long do you think you stayed out there on the side of the road looking in this bamboo forest?
Us personally, I believe we were out there for about 30, 45 minutes.
You said at some point you ended up back at the West County Jail, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Why did we go from the bamboo forest back to the West County Jail?
At that time, we exhausted resources as far as checking the home. We checked both vehicles. We checked, keep in mind, this is day 3 also that we've been searching. At that time, I felt that he was lying to me, and that I needed to take him to a controlled environment and conduct a custodial interview.
And was that based on all that you had seen up until that time?
Correct, yes, sir.
And being out there in the bamboo and looking and not finding anything?
Yes, sir.
And they cannot find anything.
Yes, sir.
And so when you said you're going to do a custodial interview, what do you do differently now when you decide to take him to the West County Jail?
At this time, we're
Use a phone book or a sock with quarters in it.
exhausted our public safety and our exigent circumstances. So at this time, I would Mirandize him, make him aware of his rights.
Did you do that in this case?
Yes, sir, I did.
Let's stop for 2 minutes. We'll take our morning break at this point. We'll come back at 10:35, 15 minutes, stretch legs. We'll call you back in just a few.
I do like that the judge is really good at making sure they get breaks. He's really keeping an eye on the jury, and I really like that, especially for a case this difficult.
27 years I've been watching juries coming in and out, and it's so fun to see who kind of likes to move around and who likes to sit in the same seat. So we're ready to proceed. Mr. Stain.
Thank you, Ron. Mr. Espinosa, we were talking, I think we ended where you had now Mirandized Mr. Horner, and you're heading back to the jail, is that right?
Yes, sir.
And is that also recorded on the body cam that we talked about before?
Yes, sir, it is.
Now, during this time, are you having a conversation with Tanner Horner during this time while he's in the vehicle?
Yes, sir.
And just to make sure here, when you're coming back to the jail, is it the same parties that are still in the vehicle?
Yes, sir, it is.
And that would be who still in the vehicle at that time?
The investigator, Joseph Oliver, and Ranger Danny Briley, myself, and the defendant, Mr. Horner.
And so during this time, what kinds of questions are you asking him on the ride from this location he took you to back to the jail?
Just asking if he was sure about the location where Athena was, and just kind of recapping what we talked about previously.
At some point, did you ask him any questions about the condition of Athena's body when he dumped it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And at that time, what did he tell you her condition was when he dumped her body?
I believe at that time he stated that she had some bruises on her body.
Okay. What about whether or not she had any clothes on or not?
I believe he gave a clothing description, but I can't remember any other details other than that.
Let me just ask you, when you asked him, did he tell you she was clothed or not clothed when he dumped her?
Not clothed.
Now, again, all of this is recorded here. Were you there at the scene when her body was recovered?
Yes, sir, I was.
And during this time that you're talking, in between the time that you went out there, you got the body cam during this initial conversation,
I wish I could tell you he didn't, but according to the opening statement for the state, she was found without clothing, and DNA was not only found under her fingernails. The state made it very clear that she fought very hard, but DNA was also found in places where DNA should not be found on little girls. And that's basically how the prosecutor put it. So I do like that they are being incredibly respectful of this, but yeah, he's a monster.
if you remember, what was Tanner Horner concerned about or worried about that he expressed to you at that time?
In which interview you speaking?
In the first interview, the one from when you initially detained him all the way back to the jail, what was he communicating with you about?
I don't recall.
Now, during this time, what was Tanner Horner's demeanor during this time when you're coming and questioning him at the roadside and coming back to jail? What was his demeanor?
He was pretty composed for the most part. He was articulate. He continued to speak to me.
You remember when you, at the point at which you made the decision that I think you said you're not able to find her, this isn't working out, what does Tanner Horner offer to you as a possibility that something had happened to her?
Potentially somebody had picked her up.
And again, looking into the future, where was she when you were interviewing him at this time?
She was at Bubbles crossing in the river.
Now, we talked a little bit about whether those things were audio and video recorded. Judge Rand?
Yes, sir. I'm going to show you what's been marked as States 35.
Can you tell me what that is and whether or not you reviewed that?
Yes, sir. This is Joshua Espinosa, the game warden's body camera, and it's labeled Field Interview 1, and it has my initials on it.
And one of those initials does.
That I've reviewed it.
And is that true and correct depiction of what you saw and witnessed on that first video we talked about from the detention until you get back to the jail?
So this first video that we're going to see is when basically the camera gets handed over and they're talking to him and saying, hey, we pulled you over because we're concerned about the safety of Athena. And then, Tanner says, okay, she's in the bamboo. I'll take you to her. So that's the first video we're going to watch. Now, the audio on all of these is pretty bad. So that's why we have closed caption.
Yes, sir.
If we also take a good break.
Any objections other than those previously given to the court?
No other objections, Your Honor.
Those objections remain overruled and State's Exhibit 35 is admitted.
Let me publish, Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
He's taking his body cam off. We're not getting officers after dark.
Listen, where's she at? Where's she at? Listen, put them in. Come on. Where's she at?
I can show you, I can give you what the result is.
She up? Okay, let's stop right there, okay? Let's go on now.
Take a pass your side. Focus. No, 4, 2, 3. I say, good morning.
I was seeing if the audio would be any better at normal speed. It's not going to be. Now, the interview is easier to understand. It's still court audio, but I do hope they're gonna show us a map of how far from where they apprehended him to where the place he lied about her body being, where the body was down. I mean, bless these first responders because they are not laying hands on him to get the evidence out of him. I mean, maybe in the years before body cams. I'm sure that never happened.
We'll get into the exciting part.
And this is a wild goose chase. So we are going to the first place where he was basically apprehended, and the Texas Ranger said, "Where is she? Is she alive?" And he said, "I'll take you to her." He took him to this like grove of bamboo. They searched out there for a little bit, realized that she wasn't there, and then took him back to the police station. So that's the next video we're gonna see. And then the final video that we might not get to it today, but we'll probably start earlier tomorrow, um, so that we can get through this so we won't be fully behind. Somewhere between the interrogation room and where they found her body is right an alter ego that's undead. Yes, we are dealing with the moment to it. We're going full screen because Mr. Mo has decided to embarrass me, with, uh my future Mo is gonna be really responsible. I would like to state that future Mo is definitely prepared for 2023. And yes, it is in fact still in the plastic wrap. I really use this very well to get to get organized. But let's read. These are don't be ashamed of who you are. That's your parents' job. The year of sarcasm. Life would be more exciting if a liar's pants actually caught on fire. Life's not a fairy tale. If you lose your shoe at midnight, you're drunk. If you're one in a million, there's 6,000 people just like you. Revenge sounds so mean. That's why it's called. That's why it's called returning a favor. Another fine day ruined by responsibility. Yeah, 2023. Look, past Mo was really sure that future Mo was going to be organized, and as we know, future Mo is always a hot mess. So, if anyone is a time traveler and is going back to 2023 and needs a calendar, get in contact with me. I will send it to you. Oh my gosh. Cannot believe I can believe that of me. That's the sad and shocking bit. And now.
I just want to get what you said, right? This is definitely football. We're going to make it very rational, right? You have rational solving instead you make him very good using a shoe. You have rational attorney, you have rational attorney present. You can't afford an attorney when you get one team. Do you understand your rights? Okay, you have rational attorney at any time. You understand your rights? What's the last part? You have rational attorney to at any time. Listen to me. This was the hard part. We're on the hard part, okay? So now that the most important part is make sure that we're good.
Oh, yeah, no, that's a bore on his leg. Oh no, we're backinating that. Look, normally I am not a fan of the police shutting doors on people's feet. It's not nice. This guy didn't seem to get the message that they were shutting the that they were shutting the door. And I kind of find I'm okay with just a scotch of him getting his foot shut in the door. So we're going to watch that again. What does he do?
That's right here.
That's what you had? Are you sure? Are you dismissing it? Your signature right here. Dismiss that. That's good. Could you get another spot that was just like this?
She could be a little further down, but this is where.
Well, check it here. We're going to try to down. There's a trash can in the mailbox here. So, you need this one? We just want to make sure we find it. If you allow to go somewhere, that's better.
Yes, another normal mom. They are looking for Athena right now. This is right after he was arrested. This is the first kind of lie that he told. He said that he had dropped her off very near the road into a bamboo grove. They are going to spend some time searching, and then he's going to be taken back to the jail or police department. We're going to watch the interview, and then later on the same day, but on a separate third video, we are going to be watching when they did find the body. Now, obviously, I'm sure there are going to be parts that are going to be redacted or not shown on screen. But yeah, it's this is where we are in this, and I will say though that all of the witnesses, even the defense, who is persnickety, they have all been very good at trying not to make this a media circus. So they've all been very respectful and very kind to witnesses, along with taking breaks. So now if you just popped in here, I am going to be watching this about a day behind. We are in for about an hour of very rough audio. While he did manage to cover the dash cam when he did all of these horrible things to this little girl, the audio was recorded and the state is going to be playing that. So I do want to give you guys a heads up when we get to that day. I only want to listen to that once, and I do want to let you guys know. But don't be ashamed if you need to take a break or walk away from this one. And we always have puppy kitten breaks or a moxie break. So just shout out if you need a break. We're going to get through as much of day 2 as we can today. And then I will probably start around 11 o'clock tomorrow. So it won't be dark-ish. It'll be darkish. And basically what I mean by darkish is that there might be some more cursey words. This isn't going to be flippin' flapjacks. But there you guys go. And just so you guys know, if you are new here and you're wondering what in the flippin' flapjacks is a puppy kitten break, it's just a 30-minute little or 30-second little song with some puppies and kittens on it to give us a little break. And then we've got a moxie break that's a little longer if you need to get a snacky snack.
When the world feels like a dumpster dive and humans forget how to thrive, take a break, just you and me, with a puppy and kitten, wild and free. Paws and purrs, let's drift away to a land where tails wag and play. No more noise, just gentle muse in our furry four-legged cruise.
So that's where we are. Now, I do have the closed captions on, and we are watching at 1.25. But yeah, do be, mindful of yourself. This is a rough case, but one that we need to watch. But, again, be mindful of yourself, be protective of yourself. Let's get into this.
not? Okay. We'll get into all the details later. Are you sure? Your father's in there? Can you go this far down? So where did you go in from this side of the road? And would you say you went like right here? You say you might be. Maybe we can get the dog over here. Can we get you a location? Can we get you the dog over here? All right. Bye. Tell me where about? Right there? The big gap right there? Right, that's about how far she was. Okay. So, what she said was that any confusion about it, and she's not alive. Okay. Yeah, let's just go on either side. It's just kidding. That's all it's important. You understand it? That's all it's important. Just trust me. You trust me. Okay? There's always reason and everything, right? Too many times we get all excited and look what happened if there's always a line, all right? We'll get through. Right now, it's not too. Right now, it's just kidding. That's very much important. So you agree with me? Okay, perfect.
FBI agent. Just a tip. Men don't tend to do this. I'm just making fun of the FBI agent, but that is a very female kind of coded posture. So, sir, you're fooling no one. Ooh, is this where the sock and quarters come in? Because I'd like a turn. Jason J, as far as I know, he hasn't given a motive. The fact that she was found SA'd, though, does seem to speak for itself as far as a motive, but um, the defense hasn't yet given any sort of motive other than he has mental defects as to what caused him to do this or pushed him to this. There hasn't been a clear thing. I mean, the only thing I can say is it seems obvious that she was found SA'd, that might have, I mean, that most likely was part of the motive. Now, the state did say that they're going to show us where he was possibly hunting the day before Athena was kidnapped. He was in a house very close to Athena's location, so very rural and isolated. And it seems like he was perusing for a young girl to kidnap. There's some very scary kind of footage of him slowly driving by a little girl the day before Athena was kidnapped. So it does seem like he had planned this for child grossness.
Again, I know this is, you need to turn around and you need to rest your guts, your fast, right? So we're 100% positive right here. No second thoughts. We'll talk about it. What's important is that keep your eye on it, okay? We're staying focused on her past. It's fine for any of that stuff. I want to answer all your questions. I'm sure you got other questions for me too. Right? Yeah. Just
No, Squid. So the videos that we're probably going to get through today, and I don't know that we're going to get through all of them tonight. It's this, so the wild goose chase, the police station interview, and then the third video for this particular witness is going to be them taking Tanner out to where he actually left Athena's body. Will be the last video for this witness. I am pre-watching, so we are going to be a day or so behind. So I can give you a heads up on the day that that audio comes out. I do want to give you guys a heads up, a warning, an approximate timestamp. So if, I give you that warning, I can give you an approximate amount. For that audio, we will play at normal speed. I will not be stopping it, and I'm only playing it once. You guys are welcome to listen to it more, but I will only be listening to that once.
Now, listen, if she's right here, we're going to find her. If you're being truthful with me, you're being honest with me, which I hope you are. We're going to find her. If you're being 100% honest with me, this is what we're going to find her. Then we'll just find her, and then you can sit down. So, okay, so then we're going to get all the details and get into some of that, why, as opposed to the left. And then we're going to get all that, and then we'll resolve all that stuff. Then we'll just phone calls, what I'm saying, whatever you want to do, okay? I promise you that. Yeah, absolutely, yeah, that's a small picture, right? That's a small one. We'll get to that. We'll get to that. Time's on our side, we got time. Okay? Just be patient with me. This is probably the okay? Thank you for being honest with me and being here. Okay? I just want that. I just want that's it.
And Squid, just because this is getting a little boring, we need to crowdfund this for you. This is my favorite thing. I can lean all the way back, which is nice for these later streams.
What do you think about that?
We'll go ahead, but it's fine.
Yeah. What time of day was it?
Sorry. We're driving back anyway.
You think we'll find here?
We should.
The buzz sound is actually a feature or a component of body cams. So basically, it's programmed to go off every so often to basically show that it's being recorded live, that no one's tampering with it or they're not running loops. So that's why there are intermittent buzzing sounds on body cams.
Because you know we figured this out. Yeah.
Running fair the entire time I created the head on was like, I'm with that extra, this is what I could have. Like, I can warn you all, like, if I lose this job, I lose everything at this point. I'm scared, I don't know what to do.
Yeah. How many times did you enter house before?
Honestly, just get something checked and I got a little flavor, so I can get for like rounds every time, most of the time.
Hey, just to reassure you, honestly, sometimes you don't have to grab and stuff, make it for confusion, but I got to go and run over that. But,
I mean, that's stuff here.
okay, so you're 100%, I'm saying if it doesn't pan out or doesn't work out, we're gonna go through your entire look out here, but I think it will, if you're telling me this, then I'm gonna take a look at it, that's right, I'll just, okay.
I'm sure they're fairly certain. I mean, again, there's no bamboo knocked down. There's no sign of disturbance in any of the sort of foliage near the bamboo grove. And I'm guessing the Texas Rangers and everyone else are also looking for tire impression because he was in a big damn or not Amazon, but FedEx van. That's going to leave impressions on a soft, side of the road. They didn't see any of those things, and I'm guessing they're pretty pissed off at this point.
Trust you, we got some resources coming in, and we're under investing in this, okay?
He's a good dude. The guy talking to you there. Good. He took me straightforward. Tell you something that's not, I think he feels the same with him. It's probably the most valuable thing he can do. Honestly, just been doing this for 25, 26 years.
Most of my life.
Yeah.
I'm not a person.
No, you're trying to do it.
Okay.
Yeah. That's a normal thing, It's just not something that we set your life on. So, there you go. Trying to live it. What areas do you deliver most of the time?
Here in springtime. When springtime rises, it's so bad. Okay, so that's what I mean, it's kind of a little bit instead of, like, I know very well to the table, but the other one is like over to the, this other.
And I would like to take a break and say a special thank you. And look, like I always tell y'all, I am the world's worst Christian. And I don't tell you to pray, but if you are of the praying variety, I think these first responders who have to go in and talk and chat to these monsters and have to, build rapport with them so they can bring, these victims home. I mean, the amount of mental strength it takes to be kind, to these monsters so that they can bring these victims home. I don't know that I could do it, and I know it has to cost them so very much. Uh, you know, both of the officers today have said, hey, I'm a father. It was cold. I wanted to go out and find this little girl. So I know that it costs them to have to do this. And, you know, we don't always think of this when we think about, police doing their jobs, first responders. And yeah, there's some bad cops, but there are some officers like this who are talking to monsters so they can bring people bring victims home for their families. And that's a tough job.
Then sometimes over in the Goshen area.
The what area?
Goshen.
Oh, yeah, yeah. We got running or?
Yeah.
I don't even know who that is.
So she should be right there.
Any other comment from any other cartels along this road?
That's pretty much just special 51, 114.
How far is 114 from here?
About a mile back up.
Can you scratch base?
No, just that.
Oh. Is this camera 45 miles now?
I don't know what to tell you. I know visually where I'm at, but I can never remember actual like names out here. So, because I'll tell you about this, I remember about that. So, I can't remember numbers.
This is in Texas, Wise County, which is close to the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
Well, did the dog get out? The dog get out here, we need the dog to go find him. Any injuries on him?
And then kind of, I get off the truck.
Okay.
And for Mo trivia, I have a really, bad startle reflex, so if you watch me watch body cams, you'll see me startle, especially when it's quiet like this and they've got the beep noise. I could never be a police officer. I startle too much.
I'll say just whatever you have to say, just make sure it's your reality. Does that make sense? It's your reality, your truth. That's probably the most important thing.
No, not your truth, the truth. Screw this your truth stuff. That's good for therapy. That's good for journaling. That's good for feelings. This is a court of law. I'm gonna need the truth.
I'm gonna go, this was my reality. This is my truth. This is what happened. It's a less exhausting process for you. I was watching you when Joe walked up the truck and asked you, where's she at? And your response was really good.
So to speak.
Go ahead.
One way that right now, I just want that dog.
Nice, Larry.
Sorry, I feel those a lot on them. That's,
Okay.
yeah.
You feel like breaking down this dish?
No, just kind of tossed her in.
Okay.
I don't know way too more about it. That's what I'm trying to say, is that she wasn't that far in. They're going pretty far back. Like, I didn't even get the game itself. I love another village tomorrow.
Yeah.
Hey, what are you going too far? I'm not going too far. Too far? Yeah. I didn't get the game. Just didn't toss it in.
What are your hobbies, Sam?
Music, video games. Lately, I've been time either of those things for the most part. My main goal is just to get out of my grandma's house. I mean, I feel take the dogs come back, but I don't even know what I'm missing my second trip.
If we weren't looking at this area, where would we need to go?
I mean, I'm 100% sure I was here.
Seems like this many people have a monitor, right?
Maybe it should have been like, either just step in a couple steps and find her.
Where do you have my injury?
I think it's her dad's house. I think they were saying. Is it pretty dark when you did it? Yes, sir. It was pretty dark. Is it any of those your keys? No, sir. Like I said, I stopped by this exact building, rush here, sometimes. Okay, I put it out, just a mark, read that.
Yeah, man. We do this one, so let's just start like right here.
No, hang on a second, actually. I'll do that, let's go ahead.
Oh, okay. Once we find this, a good idea. Yeah, look, usually he's got 100% on this.
Okay.
That's all.
Just stop right here on the side.
You stop on this side?
Just clear out, and try to just get it just straight up.
Okay.
How many cars pass by?
And how long ago was that?
So 2 days ago, it was on the road. So 2 days ago, it was on the road too, so figure out how that was.
Maybe about
Okay, what are the point of body cams if it sounds like it's being recorded on a ham sandwich? Again, from reporting from the actual courtroom, the audio was easy to understand for the jury. It was, in fact, really, really loud, but they were able to understand it.
6:37.
6:37, okay, so it sounds pretty down at 6:37.
Also, it starts going down 5:30. It's kind of dusty.
Yeah,
Okay. Who's my second?
Cool. And that's just to show that it's actively running. The audio is recording. So it's kind of a protection to show that they didn't loop the video on the body cam and things like that.
Working where else before? Working where else besides FedEx before?
FedEx, for that in Amazon. I think during my 20s, I fucked around a lot. Really, I was young, I didn't have any kids, all that stuff.
Yeah, Tanner, in your 20s, you were a fuck up. No, I think you've continued the trend.
Now I'm 31, I was trying to settle down, I had a kid, and I fucked up.
Anytime, no matter what it is, and what's that, I mean, obviously you got some adversity to face, but it's gonna be about you can be over. Just give me stats about what you know, and,
Yes, I'm happy.
I don't know, I mean, for example, let's just, I mean, say you're saying she's here, she's not, because, she's someone, it's just not that. Those kind of things will go against you, in terms of punishment, they'll be shooting off for, 3 hours of location, he knew she wasn't at. So, if that's not the case, or if it is the case, I mean, I would say, kind of stop now, let's go where she is if she weren't here. You want to do everything you can to be truthful to minimize the impact on yourself. So that's what I do. I encourage people to kind of check, let's get it out here so we can.
This is not a legal advice channel, but I encourage people to talk to a lawyer, not the police.
Minimize the impact on yourself.
Sounds like the answer to the question.
What are you looking at? Because your question was, what are you looking at? I don't really know, because, we haven't found her. We haven't found her with the commission units. You think we will find her here?
Yeah, the shadows are not already.
Yeah, she could be right.
Like, I'm really just tossed everything.
Yeah. Well,
This man said, I literally just tossed her right there. Again, it's incongruent that he would vomit twice because of what he did yesterday, but then, be so casual. I tossed her.
is there anyone else that would know?
What you should probably do
I can tell you how to get the prison, but I can't tell you.
We're getting the press, we're getting the press assignment.
I believe he is cuffed. I don't think he's in. The truck didn't appear to have like a cage in it. So I don't think it's like a, you know, cage vehicle, but he's sitting right next to a Texas Ranger. So, but I do believe he is cuffed.
Yeah, it's also raining. I don't know why I haven't come yet.
Oh,
Your choice.
You know,
Yeah. What do you think?
Let's see.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, but we're just gonna, we're gonna hit this way, and then come back and move up there, okay? You keep up this.
you know, pass this stuff over here.
It's past the stop sign.
Okay, sorry. Hang on a second, we're right here. I'm gonna ask this fellow something.
ladies, hairy forearm action. Normally we get tatted forearm action when we are doing body cam watch. We've got hairy forearm and nostril cam. And at least their roof is exceptionally clean in the cop car.
Yes.
You managed to get that line charged over there? Yes, sir, I'm just gonna toss her.
Toss your head first, get there, sir.
Good point. Welcome to Ear Cam.
We're gonna get some help, so. Mr. Bishop.
No. No, the more important question is how the hell did my kids get something on a car roof? Like, that takes talent. I'm like, I can understand them getting crud on the floorboards, getting crud on the seats. Getting stuff on the roof is just a talent that my kids shouldn't have, but they do. Ooh, elbow cam. Yeah.
But this is kind of soft, right? It's not very often.
It wasn't.
You got one side of it, kid.
So good, so right.
And you're sure you want 21.3, it's 21.3. I'm sure. Yeah. Turns into something else.
Before the place, so right there.
He's a monkey.
And because it turns into a curve right here. Did you go this way after you jumped it off? Okay.
Not the, no, not the keyboard. Oh, no, we've talked about this. Not the keyboard. Sir, I have no food. Thank you. Lord Dingus, middle manager of the Chaos Dimension, his full Christian name uh, was my 40th birthday present. So he is a Maine Coon, and he is still growing. Um, he's he's very, very sure that I am not feeding him enough. He is convinced that he is a hobbit. He needs first breakfast, second breakfast, 11sies, you know, lunch, noon, tea, dinner, supper, linter. No. Oh, Dingus isn't polydactyl, but we did have Crystal. So I should brush Dingus a lot more than I do. Dingus is not he's not a fan of getting brushed. We may have to give him catnip for both our and his safety, mostly our safety. But I will say that it is funny because he does believe he's a dog. He is our watch cat. He can be anywhere in the house actively napping, which is his other super talent. But if he hears the front door open, he has to thunk down and go investigate. He is the size of a